Warning: Armstrong Industries may contain adult and disturbing material. We strongly advise that it may not be suitable for young listeners. Thank you. 1925, in 22 Frith Street at Soho, London, Charles Banerjee walked in and gave the inventor of television, John Logie Baird, Stooky Bill, a ventriloquist dummy. He took the head of the doll off the body and placed it in front of the screen, so then the lights are on. The disc with holes in starts spinning. John watches as the first transmitted image appears on the screen, and he was pleased what he's seeing. Stooky's hair starts to burst into flames. Charles was concerned about the fire hazard, so then John said, "That's why we need Stooky Bill. No man could sit underneath that temperature. Problem is, it could be a photograph. If I'm to prove television works, I'll need a moving image." So after Stooky Bill's jaw dropped, it gave the two men a fright, but they laughed it off. John said, "Imagine if it talked, and that wee chap's about to change the world. Imagine what he would say," as there's a sound of musical laugh. Present day at Blythe, Lee is sitting at his office watching Titanic film. He's watching a scene where Jack was holding the piece of wood where Rose is on during the sinking of the ship. But suddenly, the screen changed into an image of Stooky Bill laughing, so Lee thought, "What the fuck?" So he typed on keyboard, but there was no change. So Lee turns the computer off. Nadia lay down on her sofa in her house, watching Waterloo Road. Then the screen turned into a black and white static image of Stooky Bill. Nadia grabs the remote. She tried switching the channel, but nothing changed. So she turned off the TV and got up off the sofa. At View Cinema in Cramlington, Oscar, Callie and Norville sat in one of the screen room watching Gladiator 2. Norville is liking Pedro Pascal's performance, and he's curious about the idea of him playing Reed Richards. As the movie gets into action, the image changed into the image of the doll. Callie thought, "That's not right. I don't think those dolls existed at that time." Oscar said, "No, they don't. The first one is set in 180 AD, and the second over 2 decades. Technician behind the projector is having problem with the machine. Oscar came in to find out what the problem is. The technician said, "I swear I didn't edit the film. The machine has gone weird." Meanwhile, at the Science and Media Museum in Bradford, the security reported that the doll was missing from a display. At a bus stop in Newcastle, the man stood on his own. He took a cigarette out of the packet from his coat pocket. He puts it between his lips, while Stooky Bill is walking towards him carrying a knife. Man was about to light his cigarette, but then he glared at the walking doll with a knife. So he took a step back, but then Stooky jumped up on him and slashed with a knife. There was blood splattered on the stand. So then a woman walked by and she screamed as she saw the bloodied corpse and the doll running away. Lee had a look at the projector room in View Cinema with Oscar, Callie and Norville leaning on the wall. The technician said, "I tried playing another movie and it's showing the same image like it's got mind of its own. I've already seen Gladiator 2 twice, but an old picture of ventriloquist doll was never on it." Lee asked, "So a picture that was seen was never meant to be there, is that right?" Technician said, "Yes. It showed itself up like it wants to contact us. That's what's scaring me." Lee said, "We'll take the projector and see what we can do. You might as well close the cinema until we sorted it." So then Lee's phone rings, so he picks up. and it was Nadia, she tells him that a male has been killed at the bus stop in Newcastle. Lee said, "On me way." Stooky Bill climbed off the Arriva bus as he came into Blythe. Lee and his team examined the man's body. The woman told the team that she saw a doll running. After the bus drove past, the doll was gone. So Lee came to the conclusion that the doll travelled. At night, as the cleaner has finished mopping in Sir Jan's Fish and Chips restaurant and takeaway in Blythe, she heard a bang on a window. Stooky Bill was outside, so the cleaner leans the mop on the wall. She walked to the door, unlocking it, and as she opens, she says, "Sorry, we're closed." Suddenly, the Stooky Bill slashed the cleaner, and the blood spilled out. In Armstrong Industries base, Lee and his team looked at the image of the doll on the computer screen. Lee asked, "What do you make of it like?" Callie explained, "What you're seeing on screen is Stooky Bill." Lee asked, "How do you know the name?" Callie said, "I've studied a lot of history. That doll is the very first face to be shown on television. The inventor, John Logie Baird, put him there as a test subject on 2nd of October 1925. Oscar asked, "Why the doll? Why not a human?" Callie answered, "Because of so much heat by the lights." So Baird used the doll, which had caught fire. He jokingly called the doll the first television actor. Nadia said, "There's been reports about the doll stolen from the Science and Media Museum in Bradford. Is there any connection?" Callie replied, "Yes, that's because Stooky Bill was supposed to be on display there." Lee commented, "So now the puppet of the history somehow came alive, appeared on every TV, and slashing people. Fucking hell, man. I recently had a bad time with a toy maker. I didn't need this." Nadia's phone rang, so she answered it. Oscar said, "We recently had bad experiences with slasher based on children's media. I'm not going to be surprised if Kieran still haven't got over that incident. Poor lad, he lost his mates on that night." After Nadia got off the phone, she said, "There's been a report of a murder in the Chippy at Blythe Beach." Lee said, "Shit, we'll gan there new." So Lee and his team ran out of the base. They got into a black van. Lee drove the van onto the Blythe Road. After the van parks near Blythe Beach, PC Gary Tucker is standing outside the fish and chip restaurant and takeaway. Lee and his team looked at the body. Lee confirmed the cleaner suffered the same thing as the man at the bus stop. So Gary asked Lee, "What the bloody hell has been going on lately? A lot of us are trying to watch TV, and that bloody face of a puppet wouldn't go off. Now you're saying that they've been killing people." Lee answered, "Aye, we're working on it." Ricky, at his home, tried to work the TV, and constantly trying and getting Stooky Bill off the screen, and shouted, "God damn it!" Later, as Lee and his team returned to the base, Stooky Bill was inside, walking towards them with a knife. Oscar said, "Oh shit, what do we do?" Lee said, "With all 5 of we and 1 doll with a knife, we can take him." Nadia said, "I don't know if we should damage this thing." Lee said, "It's us or the doll." So the team surrounded Stooky Bill. He tried to slice Norville in the arm, but missed. So Lee grabs the doll. Oscar and Callie managed to grab the knife out of the hand. So Lee bashed the doll on the floor, and the head comes off. Suddenly, the image of Stooky Bill on every TV has disappeared. Every channel has restored back to normal. Ricky can finally watch Stranger Things on TV. Nadia asked Lee, "How are we going to explain to the authorities that you broke Stooky Bill after it's been in the museum for decades?" Lee said, "We'll glue it back on. No one will notice. Callie, fetch us a super glue. We'll get our troops to take us all the way up to Bradford to put that doll back where it belongs. You never know, I might get paid. Later, Callie came home to Ricky, so Ricky commented, I'm glad you, Lee and the team have sorted that TV out. I was trying to watch Stranger Things, getting ready for the new season, and that doll face wouldn't get off the screen. God, I hate that face. By the way, I'm interested to have a job there at Armstrong Industries.